Welcome to the Creature Cast, the official Console Creatures podcast. I'm your host today, Steve Vegvarin. Alongside me, my good pal Bobby. As always, how the heck are you today?
I'm doing very well, good sir. How are you today?
I'm doing good. I'm jazzed. As everyone can tell by clicking on this episode, this is going to be our Doom: The Dark Ages review, and I simply cannot wait to talk about this game. But otherwise, I'm doing well. Weather outside is a little, up there, yeah. One day it's 22 degrees, the other now I'm throwing on a jacket. It really cannot regulate itself, but yeah, I mean, at least it's nice enough to go outside and actually stay outside for a little bit.
Yeah, it's a sign of the times, I feel. So like this kind of review seems like it's kind of apt. It's coming at the right time because one, weather's unpredictable, and two, we elected a new pope today. So
Wow,
you know what? Right. And the gates of hell have a new force to deal with.
Have opened up, yeah.
Pope Leo the 14th.
That's right. He doesn't know what's coming for him.
Who's scared of you right now? Doomslayer or Pope Leo? Because I don't know.
That's it.
I don't know. He's a progressive. So anyway, just put it out there. It's kind of timely.
It's very timely, absolutely. But yeah, thank you all for joining us for this episode. Very cool. And yeah. I mean, we've been kind of on a tear, a rip and a tear. I mean, we had the Nintendo Switch hands-on impressions last week, also Until Dawn review, and then we're right back here talking about Doom: The Dark Ages. So lots of great content for your eyes and ears. But yeah, this is going to be all about Doom. It's coming out this week. If you got the premium edition, you get to play a little bit early, a couple days early before its May 15th launch across all platforms, Xbox Game Pass as well. But I want to kick it over to you, Bobby, like top level. What do you think about this this new entry in the Doom franchise?
So I think it's probably my second favorite Doom game after Eternal.
Yeah.
The only reason it's not first is just because the story, which I thought was going to be a little bit more involved, is not involved. I mean, that's kind of what kind of left me is if it was just a little bit more coherent, I feel like this probably would be my favorite Doom game. But like top level, I love this game. It's so much fun. It does things I never expected Doom to do, and like it's taking this series in some really cool, interesting directions. And I don't know, I'm just like really excited that we're playing Doom: The Dark Ages after last year's reveal at Xbox Showcase, and that was probably the moment I knew this game was going to be pretty special. Like it was, this new iteration. Cutting edge technology, and of course the Doomslayer. So it's like really, it's 3 for 3 for me. Like you had the three things I wanted in a new Doom game, and ultimately, it ends up paying off really well. And I ended up clearing in about a week. So like honestly, it came and went. I'm satisfied. I don't feel like there was any bloat. It was pretty crisp and refreshing to play a game that doesn't take up more than a week of my time.
Yeah, no, that's so true. Yeah, I'm not too far away from you at all. I think I've been a longtime fan of this new trilogy, starting in 2016 and then Doom Eternal. And then it's really cool to come back to Doom again after all these years, ever since 2020. It's been quite a while. But yeah, it's interesting that, id Software took this approach of, hey, we're going to tell an origin story, or not a prequel to 2016. We're going to tell you.
It's a bridge. It's a bridging story more than anything. I feel like just to play off what you're saying, like it definitely is a bridge from like Doom pre 2016. So like it ties into Doom 64 and all those games.
Yeah,
so spectacularly that I'm certainly like I love what they did with that direction. But yeah, it ends up showing you how Doom guy really became Doomslayer, and
yeah,
that's kind of like the cool thing. We've never just kind of seen that before.
For sure. Yeah. And with that comes some concessions in terms of the gameplay. I mean, now largely they took away a lot of the verticality, which to me, someone who loved and put so many hours into Doom Eternal coming into this, I was like, oof, this feels very weird now to not have that verticality, to not have the grappling hook and be able to like swing around and stuff like that. But that being said, the introduction of the shield is one of the coolest additions in video games. Like that shield just handles so masterfully. It to me, swinging around the shield and bashing into enemies feels akin to how I felt with the Leviathan axe in God of
That's
War.
exactly it.
Just feels so
Exactly.
visceral. It feels so integral to the gameplay. It adds so it's so complementary to just, you have your pump action shotgun in one hand and then the shield in the other, and being able to like throw it at enemies, rush up into them and like get in their face with the gun. It's just a real hoot, and I think the level design is so good. The graphics and the performance of this
Yeah.
game is impeccable. I think this is the best running, best looking Doom, obviously. It's sprawling, like, even though it's not an open world by any means, it's still quite linear. There are still, like, these open areas where you can go find little collectibles, little things to do, and I think all of that is great. Where I think that the game struggles with the most, and I completely agree with you, is its storytelling. I think it's coherent-ish,
It
and I think
starts off coherent.
I even then, I mean, like, it to me, I feel like we're going from gameplay to cutscene with no rhyme or reason. It feels like the cutscene team
Yeah.
didn't really talk to the gameplay team. So at one point, you're just jumping around, Doomslayer's doing his thing, and we're just jumping narrative beat to narrative beat. And I don't think for a Doom game to put this much emphasis on the story, I was let down by the story because it's
Yep.
serviceable, sure. And I don't know if I should be this hung up on it, because all it is just giving me an excuse to just go in and just, destroy some demons, and that's exactly what I want from a
That's
Doom. I
exactly
wanna
it.
be Doomslayer. I wanna be, just obliterating demons, like, en masse, like, fields and fields of demons,
Yeah.
big and small. It's all about the gameplay, and that's always what Doom has been. So for me, I don't take too much umbrage on the story not being that great, but I do think objectively, I have to point it out that they kind of did drop the ball on the story because there's such an emphasis on story. Every single one of the 22 chapters starts out with this a cinematic. It's all teeing up to this grander story. They're trying to tell a narrative here. I just don't think that is all that coherent. I don't think it flows all that well. I think you're largely jumping from one point to the other, and it's just a vessel for you and Doom Guy just to get to another horde of
Yeah.
demons. So I can't be upset by that because the gameplay is so goddamn good. Like,
It's so good. And
this is
that's the issue.
the ultimate male fantasy. This is a video ass game, like, by definition. If you brought out a dictionary and you look up the term video game, Doom the Dark Ages should be there as like the
It
number one, because
100%.
it's just so much fun. I think in terms of just like blanket statement, if we're looking at video games for what they are, Doom the Dark Ages
Yeah.
encompasses that completely. And yeah, I'm just like, it brings it back to that one word. It's just fun. There's like there's
It's
no
fun.
point that I'm that bored. Sure, there are like momentum problems. I think that there are some like pacing issues I find within the gameplay. But that being
Yeah.
said, like, I am just having fun with the gameplay. Like the toolbox that id Software has given players, I think, yeah, they've just kind of knocked it out of the park with this one. And I do agree. I think I still like Doom Eternal more, just because it does have that verticality. It has that evolution to what Doom is. This kind of feels like a step back in that regard. It feels kind of more,
It's
hey, we're going
hard
back
bound
to
for
its
sure.
roots,
Yeah.
and it's boots on the ground. You move a little slower, but when you're moving, when you're dropping from like a level down to another one, and you
Yeah.
just feel how heavy Doomslayer is when he's just eviscerating the nearby demons and making them explode. There's something so rock and roll about that I smile, I get a little, excited
Yeah.
about it, and like the music kicks in, and it's just pure testosterone, it's pure adrenaline, and yeah, I'm having a ton of fun with this game.
Yep. I think I'm with you on all of those points. The whole point of Doom, the Dark Ages, it's not, that vertical, and that was kind of like the first thing we
Right.
all kind of learned, right? It's just stand your ground and fight, and you're doing that. Like, you're not. And the opening cutscene kind of tells you that. For like, you kind of see, like, I don't think it's a spoiler to say, like, this is like Doom Guy or Doomslayer, however you want to
Sure.
name him
Yeah.
at this point, and pick your poison. But he's not in control of what he's doing. Like, he's
Right.
basically tethered to this mind control stone in his chest, and the Maykrs are basically just using him as a tool to just kill demons, and
Yeah.
and that's all you're worried about.
I really like that narrative beat of explaining, like, no, this guy has, like, the only thing this guy knows is
There's
his
no free
rage
will. Yep.
towards the demons, and I think that is such a cool, like, I right off the
They
rip,
did it
I was
good.
like, this is kind of what Master Chief was designed to be to the
Yeah.
Covenant, but then he had, like, that humanity that, humanizes him and everything like that.
Yeah.
Doomslayer, Doom Guy, has none of this. Like, he is just there to
Yeah.
just fuck shit up, and I
That's
love
all he
that
cares
from
about.
yeah. Like the one some of the, like, funniest things, like, contextually, is you're going through some of these levels,
Yep.
and there are soldiers there. They're cowering, you're protecting them and everything. You're not even, like, protecting them, you're just going through them to get
Yeah.
to the
You don't even
demons,
care
like,
they're there.
no, and that's Doomslayer's entire objective is, like, "I'm just gonna go out and fuck shit up. I'm gonna
Yep.
go kill all these demons,
Yep.
and other than that, I don't care about the war. I don't care about saving these soldiers. None of it. It's like it's
And
so secondary to him."
that's kind of like where it ties into like the Maykrs and
Yeah.
Argent, and we all know the Maykrs are a big piece of shit, and like they're supposed to be angels, but like they're so evil,
Yeah.
and like the lore implications of the Maykrs are working with the demons to generate all this war, and like it's cool in all that sense, but like you see all that reflected in Doomslayer, and like he just doesn't care. He's basically in a glorified prison cell where they only open it up when they need him to go kill things. I'm like, that's all he does. And then
Right.
I love that. Like that's great. But what loses me is the fact that they tried to turn it into a little bit more than that. It's like if you're
I
gonna
agree.
stick with that, just stick with it. I would have been happier with just voice lines, just saying stuff in the background without, having to worry about like who's king, like this they introduce the king,
Mhm.
Argent, and like we've seen him before in the game, but like they don't really do enough for me to justify his presence in the game. Or like some of the Maykrs, like we meet them and we see them, and they're like, okay, well, but you don't give us enough to basically want to know more about them. Like the
No,
way
like,
it's
for a
just
game
broken
that
up so wrong.
that tries its best to be like a prequel to 2016, round out this trilogy and everything. The game expects you to know a little too much about what's
Yeah,
going on. Like if you were a fresh player, like being dropped in this,
no,
you're not
you
going to know
wouldn't.
any of these characters, and I don't think that the game satisfyingly introduces you to really any of them. You're just kind of dropped into this world expecting to either know all of this stuff or just go along with the
Yeah,
punches. And I think
you're
at
better
the
off.
end of the day, you're better off just kind of accepting the fact that, yeah, you're Doomslayer, you're going out, you're just kicking ass and taking names. That's great. But yeah, I think that in between some of the levels, when you're thrown into the cinematic, like at one point it's just like, oh yeah, now you're in hell. And I'm like, why? Where?
Yeah, like
How did
why?
I? And I was like, okay, but it's inconsequential to me. I'm here for the gameplay. I'm going through. I really don't care. But it is funny to me to like bounce around so often and be
Yeah,
like, I guess this is happening. I guess, the prince is after this heart. Oh, what is it? It's just a big MacGuffin, whatever. Like, I don't care.
yep,
And it is funny. Like, it sucks because id Software clearly tried to put a lot into this. I just don't think that it netted out as much as they probably wanted it to. Some of
it,
the cinematics and sequences look great
no,
as they're running.
yeah, 100%. I'm with you on all of these points. It's just like you put all this time and effort into
Yeah.
just trying to do like a narrative thread, and like it. I don't even think you got a thread of this game. It's just like a spool on the floor, and it's just like kind of pulled together, and it's like, okay, well, you want me to pay attention for like 10, 15 hours, but like, what am I paying attention to? The
Yeah.
only thing I care about is whether I'm parrying on time, or
Dude,
whether
yes.
when's the next weapon coming, because like that's all I care about at this point. Because I've asked 6 people who I know are reviewing the game. I was just like, do you know what's going on in the story? Because I am lost. And then it took me a replay. I had to replay the first like 6, 7 chapters to kind of just get an idea of what's going on. Just because even while I was playing, I was like, "Whoa, I don't know what the hell I'm doing."
Mm.
And that's just what I hate about it. Like that's the one thing I feel like brings us down a full point for me. If I had to,
Yeah.
give it up when I give it the full score review, it's like if I had, understood what was going on, instead of just assuming, I would have been better off for it, and then trying to piece together what's going on from the codex, which is it's just fine. The codex is fine inside the game. It's serviceable. All it does is really tell you about all the characters and the weapons and some of the story points, but that's it. It doesn't really explain them at all. So
there is something to be said, because I mean, people who played 2016 knows how much of the story used to be told through the codex. It's like if you really wanted the context as to what Doom 2016 was even about, you had to go out, find the collectibles throughout the levels, and actively read all of these different like snippets. I think that there is something to be said for it to be like, no, actually, we're going to try and tell a story. And objectively, I don't really care that it doesn't pan out that much, because the gameplay is so good. The performance is so good. The combat, like everything about Doom: The Dark Ages, aside from the narrative, is so good that's what I'm there for. But objectively speaking, because there's such an emphasis on story, I have to point it out that like it just doesn't net out as much as I really wanted it to.
Yeah, and it's such a shock, because like it's just like it's been around for so long. They know how to tell a story. Like Rage was really good. I feel like Rage and Rage 2 are some of their best stories, and I'd wish just to maybe see some of that kind of rub off on here, but like it's just so disconnected from what I'm actually doing, and it kind of feels perfectly in tune with what they're telling you of Doomslayer. Like he's so disconnected from what he's actually doing in the game that the story doesn't make sense even to him.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, there's something to be said.
Maybe
there,
that's what. Maybe that was intentional. It's just like you basically are feeling like the Doomslayer. Like you don't know. Like, and there's some early cutscenes, and again, we're not going to spoilers. Like, just don't worry about that. But like, there's an early cutscene I've seen in previews. Doomslayer is actively trying to break free of this control. Like every so often, like there's hints of him, coming back to consciousness, and like he's aware of where he is and all this. Right. He's trying to fight back.
Yeah.
And I had wished more of that kind of, but even as like a gameplay element, like the story starts off very disjointed. As you play along, it starts coming more into focus. Like there's these little things that would have been like really cool. It's like chapter 6, you're finally free or whatever, and then there's more of the story flowing through the cutscenes or something. Like just something just to like bridge that narrative to the gameplay. It would have been so cool. But
yeah.
That's fine. You know what? It's fine. I accept it for what it was.
Exactly.
We all know this is Doom. It's Doom. At the end of the day, it's a Doom game. So
exactly. And I want to talk about that, because when you're looking at a Doom game, it's about the combat. And for me, it was such a delight the first time. Like I said, the first time you pick up the shield and you start using the shield, and you're like, oh, I feel like death metal Captain America. I feel like this is akin to Kratos and the Leviathan axe. There was just it complements the gameplay so well, in that not only can you throw it, not only it can just like eviscerate those weaker enemies and stuff like that, not only can it stun some of the bigger enemies, but like it introduces the parry system. And it's not a parry system as a Souls like, where you have to have the timing down to like the frame and everything like that. You're basically parrying these green attacks, whether it's like an energy wave or the swing of a weapon, and it feels so goddamn satisfying every time you hit it just right. You hear like the audible reaction to it. You're able to like stun an enemy very quickly, take down its bar, and then just start going at it with the gun or something like. And it just flows so well. Like and I want to know your opinion on it, but I feel like there's so much great management of not only your resources, your health, your armor, but also of the parrying, of managing. Okay, I'm going to block this attack, parry this one, shoot, go back, grab, or go in with my melee attack to get armor and ammunition from this enemy. There's so much great management of all these different like systems, but it all works so well that if I tried to put myself into the position of someone that was watching, it would look chaotic. It would look very, just balls to the wall. But playing it, having your hands on the sticks, it all feels just great. At least for me, I want to know your opinion.
Yeah, 100%. Like honestly, I think it's probably the best controlling game I've played in the last couple of years, for sure. Like it's just so responsive. The moment you get that saw shield is just like, okay, this should have been around for years at this
Yeah,
point. It
right.
was just so satisfying. I use it for everything, whether it's throwing it at enemies and bouncing off the wall, or parrying at the right time, or just doing that I think it's like LR. It's like when you dashed him and you bashed
Yes.
them, whatever.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
There's just so many instances where you need to use the shield for everything. It's just the most visceral tool you have.
Yep.
Without this tool, I feel like it wouldn't be half as fun. Like Doom is Doom, but Doom with a shield, oh yeah, no, like there's no going back. Like I feel like they have to include it from now on. It just changed things so viscerally. It would have been really cool maybe if there was just like, if you want to go back to that verticality, there's like a move in the future games where you press, LT or whatever, and then you press R2 and jump and you bounce off the ground.
That would be very cool. Yeah.
Like stuff like that. If you want to add that back, like it's such a tool that it needs to stick around, because like, you can throw it at an enemy, it'll embed in them, and you basically have a minute to take out, all the fodder enemies around it.
Mm-hmm.
Zoom around and blast away all like the armor of this enemy and take your shield back. Or you can use I liked what was it called? Jeez. It was the gun with the big ball and chain.
The Skull Crusher or whatever. Oh no, the chain shot.
The chain shot. Like the chain shot was so overpowered. Like I would basically embed the shield in an enemy. I would basically let that thing take care of everything. And then like the big bloated enemies that are, with like the, I don't know what I gotta put the codex. That's the thing. But they're just
a lot of different ones. Yeah.
Yeah. They look like big marshmallows. But basically, I would use that chain shot to destroy all their armor, take the shield back, hit them with the shield, and then they would just cut them in half. And then it was just like the tool set you have in this game. It encourages you to use everything. So like the combat shotgun, the super shotgun, and then you have like the skull shot, which I think is such a cool way to use the skull, I guess. I don't know. It's pretty
it's more like a wider spread gun, like an automatic gun.
Yeah.
You have like the shredder, which is like more of like an auto rifle, rocket launcher. There's a couple other ones. There's one that's like an electrical beam. I can't remember the name of that one. But you have like a lot of great weapons, all very diverse, all with like secondary powers to it. And then of course you have the masteries that you can unlock as well.
You have that, and then you have the gauntlet, and then you have the flail, which I think is probably my favorite. I
love the flail,
because in some points, you're stuck, you don't have your shield, you have these enemies coming at you, and then you press I think
the thumbstick
R3. I call it R3 just because what it is. But yeah, you push the thumbstick, and then you have 3 super powered punches or flails, whatever, to just basically, if you're dying, you can basically get health back, you get shield, you get ammo every time you hit them with this, and it connects. So it's just like, it's basically like a safety net. So if you're in a tight spot, you use that, you can basically recover all your health, grab your shield, throw it at somebody, and just do it all again. Like there's very little instances where I actually died. I think I died like 3 or 4 times.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had really good luck. Like between the parry window, because you have later on, you have like the sentinel stones where you update your stuff. Like you can have stuff you buy that basically, like once you parry, it does like an explosion. So like, you have that cushion where you can parry, but like while you're doing that, it pushes enemies away from you.
Yeah, there's a really cool one you get.
I died a handful of times. I think I died like 4 times, and like I was running through levels, finding those sentinel, the helmets would like give you the free lives or whatever you want to call them. Yeah. And I had no use for them. I basically went through the first 10 levels without dying, like nothing.
So I'll agree with you there, but I feel like towards the end of the game, I felt like there was such a difficulty curve where
I don't know, because why? It's that parry window. It was, and to be fair, I mean, full disclosure, we had pre-review copies. I got an email yesterday saying that they actually closed the parry window, so it was shorter now.
Oh, interesting.
It was very generous for me. Like
very generous.
It was so generous. I'm like, having that, it negates a lot of damage. That's what it is. Like you can basically spam that button. It'll block almost 85% of what's coming at you. And that's what it was. It was just like I was basically just throwing the shield, pulling it back, spamming LT, and then just basically it worked. It would just basically avoid any incoming damage, and it was really weird. But because we got that email saying history, they addressed it. It was just
Yeah, it might be
overpowered.
different for
It's
players.
different now. I went back. I've cleared all the levels. I'm just going back to clean up all the stuff I missed. And there's lots of stuff we can talk about because I do love how the levels are, presented. And I think that was probably my biggest surprise. Is as great as the combat is, I expected a linear-ish game. It ended up being completely opposite in terms of what the levels I thought would be versus what they are. But yeah, I mean, coming back to it, I didn't die as much as I expected. And no knock against it. It is still a hard game.
It is.
The second half gets way harder because it's like all hell breaks loose. That's fine. But that's kind of the point of Doom. It's like,
of course,
it's not just, there's tools. You have to know, if you get stuck in a corner, you don't fight. You move somewhere else. You start, recouping there, and you fight back from there. And then there's just so much health. There's so much armor going around. There's places where if you leave the screen just for a second, you come back, health is respawned, armor's respawn. So I had instances like that where I was down to 1 bar of armor and 8 hit points, and I would just leave the screen, do kind of a circle, and I'd come back and the health would have respawned.
Yep.
It was just stuff like that. It's there's all these users always available. So it's to die. It's you have to actually be in a position where there's just no way to survive. And it was few and far between. And that's just there are so many difficulty options in this game. You can play, 1-hit kills and all that. I'm not going to try that, but on the difficulty I played on, I think it was medium, whatever. It was still challenging, but it wasn't to the point where it's frustrating. It was just so satisfying, and they finally balanced that where you get your challenge, and it's basically you can have your cake and eat it too. So you can have the fun, you can be the Doomslayer, but you don't have to worry about dying because he's ultimately the RoboCop, and I was gonna mention that in my review. If you played RoboCop Rogue City, the way he moves and the sounds you make, it's just RoboCop just on cocaine. He's just so fast and he's always moving around, and he's so robotic in the way he moves. You can hear it.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that about him. He's just this.
I do like how much customization you have with the difficulty. So if you do want that, authentic Doom experience, you can crank up the difficulty a lot. You can also customize it a lot so that you can customize, the amount of health, the parry window, the speed, everything. They make it really, really accessible from that point of view, that if you do want to just get the gameplay and have, a low threshold for difficulty, you can totally do that and get through it just the same. So I really did appreciate it from that point of view. I did find though that without proper hit detection, there were some times where all of a sudden I was like, oh, I have 5% health, and then you hear the little audible but yeah, other than that, I feel like maybe that was a step back from previous games. I don't really know. I might have to go back to Doom Eternal just to kind of compare that.
Yeah,
but it was something that I noticed, especially towards the latter half of the game, when things just get very, very intense within its monster closets, where I'm like, all of a sudden I think I'm I have all the enemies in front of me. I'm just chipping away at one by one, and then all of a sudden some respawn behind me and then take out all my armor and health. I was like, okay. So I feel like I've died quite a few times just by virtue of that. But sorry, go ahead.
There was and just to say, don't get it wrong, I rarely had full armor. It was always at 4%. It was always down. My health was pretty good. I mean, the benefit to this game is that anytime you fight a major boss, you're getting upgraded health or armor or whatever. So you're constantly getting more health, more armor, but and you're refilling it often enough. But enemies are so finely tuned, they take off just enough damage to scare you, but not enough to kill you. So you have that small window of basically am I gonna make it to, oh, okay, good, I found a little bit of armor or health just lying around. And that's what I like about it. It's just it's so perfectly tuned to what you're doing. So if you're fighting in an arena setting where you're fighting a bunch of revenants, you will find little bits of health, just enough to keep you to survive this encounter and go to the next one. And I love that. Like, it was just enough of everything. It was just like Goldilocks. Like, you had the right porridge for every encounter.
Yeah. I do want to talk about level design because you brought it up in terms of what you expected from the game and how it all netted out.
Yeah. So, I mean, my consideration going was like, it's going to be a linear game. I mean, it's been like 4 years since I played Eternal, but I remember it being vertical, yes, but it was just very linear. So you're just basically going from this place to this place, and that's what I anticipate. And rightfully so, the first 4 chapters or so are basically that, right? And then finally there's one chapter where it's just like, oh wow, okay, well, it starts like that, and then you basically open this door and you're in this massive open hub area, and it's like
with like multiple objectives and
multiple objectives. It's like, it's like a full kind of open world, and I love that about it. It's just like every level has side quests, so like, find X amount of cultists and kill them.
With the challenges, I don't know. Yeah, they're more challenges that were in Doom Eternal. I can't remember if they're in 2016, but each level has their own challenges of like, kill demons this specific way, kill the cultists, make sure you do X, Y, or Z objectives.
And like, that's great, but like the way that it's implemented is like, now you have that, but you're in open world. So like, if you go in one direction, you might find a hidden boss that gives you, like I said, like a power up for more armor. Or if you go in this other direction, you'll find like these cannon demons that are basically blasting the Atlan Titans down, and you have to kill all 4 of them before, and then you get like a key. Or if you go, say north, and then you find like a purple key, and that basically gives you 3 or 4 options to go back through the level and find like what that key is, associated with. So you could basically double back, find like the secret areas, and like those usually have like the Funko Pop. I call them Funko Pop.
The little action figures, the rubies that you can use to upgrade your weapon, the gold.
And then, it's just so different than what I anticipated going after. And then the first time you get that, it's like, whoa, this level's huge. And it's just outside Argent City. The demons are invading, and there's just so much in front of you. And you're like, where do I go first? And that was my kind of one nitpick, is like, there's just overwhelming amounts to do right off the bat. It's just like, you don't really have a direction to go. Like, there's obviously markers telling you go here, but as you're going there, something else grabs your attention. It's like, okay, well, do I want to do this right now, or should I go here? Because it's not really telling me where to go. So you kind of just have to, trust yourself and pick a direction and then follow it. And then it usually leads to something really satisfying.
Yeah, I agree. I think that they showed a lot of restraint in making all of the collectibles useful. I mean, like we mentioned before, there's the codex, which offer a little more context to the story. They have the Funko Pops, which are just really cute. They had those in the previous games too. And then aside from that, they have all the in-game currency. So you got gold, you got rubies, you got another gem that you can unlock, and all of those are really meaningful because you need to upgrade your weapon in totally, and then you unlock the mastery, which you can then start going after and everything like that. So it feels like you're saying, you could just gold path this entire game and still have a lot of fun, but there's still a lot to do in these open hub style levels, or just all the levels to kind of just satisfy that collectathon. That's really fun. I do think that some of the in-game map could be a little better in terms of like getting to a certain point and then being like, well, I missed this secret, but how do I get back to this area?
The map is very like reminiscent of Star Wars Jedi, and
like, yes.
I hate that 3D map.
3D map. Yep, absolutely.
I hate it. Just like, give it something simple. Give me a flat 2D map. Let me pick my marker. Let me just
and that's another thing. There's no in-game markers. You can't mark a location on your map and kind of navigate. So if you really do have to backtrack to get to a secret room with gold in it, You have to continuously open up the menu and be like, okay, back to the map, back to this, blah blah
Don't
blah.
like that. That's the only thing I didn't like. But like, there are parts where I would spend like 10, 15 minutes trying to figure out how to get like, you'd have like this big fence blocking off like a gold room, and it's like, okay, well, how do I get there? And you would look around, you would look up, I would look, everywhere, and find there's no way to get there. And I would just get so frustrated I'd have to move on because like there's no, like, even just like a little hint. I would look for those walls with the scratch marks, thinking maybe I can climb up or around it, or there's like a water, but there's none of that.
Yeah.
It's like, it's these little things. Like, if you have rooms like that in your game, just give me a way to like just mark it down on the map. So even if I hate the map, I can just know it's there. I can come back to it later.
Yeah,
instead of
absolutely. I agree with
moving
that.
on without even remembering what I did there. So it's just
I do like a lot of the puzzles though.
The puzzle's incredible.
Like to open some of these secret levels or to get in and out of them. I thought they were really unique and also a nice break from just the absolute chaos and mayhem that is the visceral combat of Doom: The Dark Ages.
They take the pacing down, and I prefer it just because like there are a lot of instances where you're fighting for 5-10 minutes straight, and then it's like, okay, I need a breather. And then you'll get that because there's usually just a puzzle around the corner. There were a couple I early on that really stuck out with me. There's one where you have to go underwater, and underwater there's like fire that's shooting up, and you have to like swim through it. And you gotta climb up, and it's like, I love that because it's not so complicated that I'm frustrated, but it's solid enough. It's just what. It doesn't frustrate me to finish it. It's like I
exactly. Like by the time you get to maybe the 4th or 5th level, you essentially know how to unlock a room, whether or not it's the throwing of the shield to then like jump up to a certain area to cut down like a gate or something, or like you're saying, maybe you have to navigate through some water or anything like that. I think that it makes you think for a moment of like, okay, let's look around, let's check out what's available to me, but you're usually not stuck on a puzzle or any kind of level design hurdle for more than a couple minutes.
And that's the beauty of it. Like there's just, I do appreciate that they use the saw shield for more than just a tool in battle. Like now you can use it for puzzles.
Yep.
If you need to cut down like these chains that are blocking the door, you can use that to basically boost yourself up. Like I love that. It's just, I think my one issue with like that whole setup was like I said, I feel like there could have been a little bit more of complexity behind like the shield puzzle. If you're gonna do a shield puzzle, like don't just make me hit something. Do something where it bounces out or something. Like because you can do a battle.
Oh, sure.
I feel like that's kind of my one thing. That was my one issue. Is like they're fun puzzles, but they could have been a little more creative, I feel.
One of them specifically reminds me of, again, God of War, where it's like, oh, you have to throw your shield at this thing and keep it there while you like go under the gate. I was like, oh, okay, but I've done this before in God of War, and it wasn't really evolved after that. Like I thought maybe this is step one, and then they'll get a little more involved after time. It really doesn't, but I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, like it just needs a little bit more creativity. Like I understand it doesn't need to be like super complicated like something in Portal, but like
right,
a little bit more. Just like you have this really cool shield, like let it just really be the Swiss Army knife of what you're using in the game.
And it is in so many different ways. You're bashing the blocks, you're cutting down the chains and everything. But I agree with you. It is very surface level outside of combat. In combat, I mean, like it really is your Swiss Army knife. Like you're doing so much with it. You're smashing heads in, you're stunning enemies, you're cutting down waves. One of the most satisfying moments is when you got like the lineup of the shield guys with the orange shield, and you just whip it at them, and they all just go like flying and exploding. Like,
that's so satisfying.
It's so cool.
It's great because like those encounters are where you get all your health and your shield. So like you knock out one of those troops, and basically like you have a pool of recovery items,
resources.
Like it's great. And there's like 4 or 5 of those in every encounter, I feel. So it's like,
it's really fun.
You can be a little bit careless, and you can throw yourself to the wind and fight caution, and taking damage, and then you just go and pick up all this health and you just continue on. Like, I love that. Like, it's just
Yeah.
everything's so self-regenerative what you're doing.
It is. Yeah, well, exactly. It's all about that item management, knowing, okay, if I hit this enemy with melee and like purple stun lock them, where you get like the execution style, okay, I'm gonna get health and I'm gonna get ammunition. But if I do this other move on this enemy, I'm gonna get shield and ammunition, or some sort of variation of the holy trinity of resources that you really need. So knowing how to manipulate enemies and know how to extract resources from them when you need them is really, really important and really adds a lot to the gameplay.
They don't teach that though. Like, it's just kind of like, here's all your tools, go have fun. But like, once you spend some time learning, like, this massive demon you can fight a certain way and you'll only get maybe ammo. But if you stun lock them and then do the execution, you'll get ammo and health. Or if you do like the one on the it's the one on the horse thing. It's like that big wart.
Oh yeah, the warthog or whatever. Yeah, the guy that like shoots you and then you can like knock him off. Yeah.
If you pair to that, and then I noticed like you throw your shield at it, while it's doing that, it'll drop health. So like you want to do that, and I didn't know that. Like the first like 4 or 5 encounters, I would basically just parry it, and like that would basically knock its shield out. But if you throw your thing at it and then basically let it just spin, it drops health. I was like, okay, well now you got to know like every enemy kind of does something different. So knowing how they all interact with each other and why they're coming out of the portal in these groups, there's a meaning behind every one of them. I feel like, so like you kind of know after like X amount of encounters, okay, I can do this with this group. So like I can be a little bit careless here, or I have to be careful here, because then like further on you get like the revenants, and the revenants are a little bit more dangerous. So you gotta
god,
you have like 2 revenants, and like those are the main challenges, but you have like 10 to 15 cannon fodder enemies around them. You don't really want to deal with them, so you gotta just kind of you gotta find your ground and then know what weapons work well against them,
exactly,
and what they drop when you use those weapons.
And I feel like the revenants are like ratcheted up to an 11 in this game, where they're
one of the most difficult.
Like they kick my ass every time.
They're the ones that I lost to. Like they're always the ones I lost to. It's always been like that in any game. It's always the revenants, because they're just so fast and they're unpredictable in their movements. So you kind of have to anticipate them. And
especially if you're trying to throw your shield, stun lock them and everything, and then they go into their ghost form or whatever. I'm like, these guys are just certifiably a pain in my ass.
And then double to make it worse, when things are really insane and the demons are throwing like whatever projectiles at you, the revenants throw theirs faster than everybody else. So you have like 10 to 15 projectiles coming at you, but the revenant one's flying there first. So like it messes up your parry window, because you don't anticipate it until it gets there, and then by then you already you've taken the hit. And you're like, well, shit, what do I do now? I got to remove where I am and reposition, and then try and do this again.
One thing we haven't talked about all that much, the Mech and the dragons.
There's a reason for that, I feel, because top level on the Mech, it's fine. I honestly would have probably preferred not having it in the game. But I do like the scale of it. I do like the fact that once you're in it, you're basically killing everything in your path. And this
you're a giant kaiju,
you're basically a kaiju, and you're basically, and I love the fact that Ide now has very destructible environments. So like you, as the Mech, you can basically, stomp on buildings, you can punch buildings, you can punch your soldier buddies on the ground and they'll die. And that's cool, but it's just very basic. That was kind of what I was disappointed about. And
it is. It's
when
very.
I was talking on the DLC pod, that's what Christian was saying too. Is the Mech was really boring, and I was like, "Well, how boring?" But now that I've played it, it's pretty boring.
I like it, like you're saying, from its scale. I think it's a very fresh perspective to put a Doom game in. But it does come down to, you're going up against, 2 or 3 demons, like large scale demons at a time, and you're just punching them and then performing like an execution style move, and then just rinsing and repeating. But thankfully, none of these sections last more than 5-10 minutes at a time.
So short, but
they're basically just there to break up the momentum of the standard level design. Yeah.
But I feel like, honestly, if they had just done away with it and maybe invested resources into the much better, much frantic gameplay that is Surratt and flying on a dragon, I think it would have been better.
See, that's so funny that you say that, because for me, it's the complete opposite, where I wish that they got rid of the dragon
Oh,
and kept
really?
the
I
Mech.
loved it.
Yeah.
I actually think that opening level where you're in the floating city, I thought
Yep.
that was really cool. And
1000%. I totally agree with that. And the dragon is a very cool approach to, again, breaking up the combat, breaking up everything that you
yeah,
know and love about Doom. But to me, once it clicked in my head that, oh, every single dragon level or dragon section is just me chasing a ship and just spamming, like holding down the right trigger to shoot at it, and
yeah,
then dodging some green balls to break up a shield on a
yeah,
gun on a ship. I was like, I'm just doing the same like monotonous gameplay
yeah.
stuff.
To that in that way, yes, I agree with you. But
Yeah.
then there's also like like, like once again, not a lot of spoilers. It's all the optional stuff that you have to between that go
Mhm.
to ship, right? You can fight one ship, but in like that first level, for example, like there's a lot of secrets. Like you basically can fly around this entire city, find like a hidden runway, land on it, and then you'll fight demons there. And like that was cool. And there was a lot of those. There was, I think, like 3 or 4 in the first one. And just to find them, like you're basically flying around. You have to kind of scope out the area, and if you find it, you land there. And then
Yep.
there's always a really challenging encounter there. And those are the ones that, like I said, give you the bonus health, like the upgrade your health, your armor, all that. Like, you want to go actively find those. So having that dragon there, and then tying it into the upgrade system, like I love that. My only like even suggestion is like I wish it was more like you can just call the dragon at any time. So if you're in a level and you're overwhelmed,
Interesting.
just call the dragon as like a support. Like he
That would have
just
been
blasts
cool.
down. Yeah, just he'll take out like a group of enemies and just let you breathe for a second. Even if you don't want people flying the Doomslayer in your game, that's fine.
Just
But
as like a support action. That would have been
yeah, like
cool.
that's kind of how I would improve that. But overall, like I do like it. Like he controlled really well with
He
Surratt.
did. Yeah.
It was fun flying around the levels. I know there's obviously, like you said, those ships, but then there's like those other ships you have to kind of like fly through around through the level and blast at them, and then that gives you,
I just
like
found it kind of boring, to be honest. Like
it,
once you defeat like
yeah,
one of those ships, you're just chasing it and kind of just spamming
100%.
the right
It
trigger.
wasn't super exciting, but it did break up that
It
list.
did.
You
I
have to
will say
find
that.
4
Yeah.
ships
I
because
just wish that they were kind of few and further between,
yeah,
because I feel like, yeah, you get to like the first section of both the mech and the dragon level, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. I'm shocked that we're getting them this close to the
yeah,
beginning of the game. I thought this was going to be something held out, and I was like, okay, this is great. And then you reach the second wave of these levels. I was like, oh, we're doing this just again, okay. And then the third time, I was like, okay, now I'm just kind of bored at this point. I wish that they kind of added something like progressively, like as you're going through it. I wish there was a little more to it. But yeah, like you're saying, like there are optional things to kind of break up just flying around and destroying the ships and everything. But
yeah,
I wish there was just a little more there. But again, I do commend it for at least trying something new, trying to give
yeah.
us some different gameplay options, some new perspectives and everything. I thought it was really cool. I just wish it was a little more.
100%.
Yeah.
But you know what? I feel like, and this is kind of where I hope we get the old ones DLC for the Dark Ages, and
Oh,
then
sure.
just you showed us what the base was like in this game. Now double down on it or expand on it, and like I feel like with maybe even a little bit more time, they probably will give you something like that where it does. It's not as boring as we're saying these modes are. I liked one more than you did, and that's kind of like a point to it. Like you like the mech more than one than the dragon. I like the dragon more than the mech. With iteration, I feel both could be really good.
Definitely 1000%.
If you make the mech faster and add more enemies, it'll be
Or
great.
even just like more like there's one point where, or a couple points where as the mech you pick up weapons, and so you're not just defeating enemies like fisticuffs, and I thought that was really cool. I was like, oh, okay. There's one where you have to perfectly dodge enemies to get ammunition for your gun. I was like, okay, that's at least, unique, innovative to what I've been doing before. So yeah, I feel like they just kind of had to massage and evolve these little bits of gameplay, but by no means I think that either of them were bad.
No, 100%. And like I'm glad they're there. I don't know
Yep.
if these are gonna stick around, these molds in future games, but
Sure.
like there is enough runway for whatever game comes next to basically fully bridge, you know, the end of, I think it's like Doom 64, which is like, I think, the last one
Right.
before 2016 kind of comes into play. So like there's a little bit of, like I said, leverage and runway to basically give you one more shot with these, maybe before they do something different.
Mhm.
Maybe jump to like the furthest point in the timeline. But like, yeah, I'm all for them. Like I like this. There's the level of scale in this game is just it's expanded so much compared to like Eternal.
Oh my
And like
god,
I
yeah,
love
like some of the skyboxes or the background that you're going through, and you're walking through some of these levels, and you'll just see, yeah, a
that.
Titan fighting one of the
It's
giant
so
mechs in the background, and I just sit there, I'm like, "Oh, I'm just gonna hang out and watch for a couple of minutes," and they're actually fighting. There's like consequence to all this war that you're a part of and everything. So they do put a lot of attention to those details.
Yeah, that's what I love, appreciate that there's just all these little details that I don't feel many people are going to pick up on their first playthrough, and
Maybe, yeah,
luckily the game where you're going to have to play it a couple times, because for completionists, yeah, at least a couple times to get the full picture. But like
probably.
there's so many details that I missed out on my first playthrough, and I'm looking forward to finishing the second playthrough, getting everything, and just getting that platinum, because like it is a game I want to get that
Yeah,
platinum
me
for, because
too.
it's so much fun.
I do wanna go like and complete everything, get all the collectibles, do all the masteries, because I just love the gameplay loop of Doom: The Dark Ages. I really think, going back to what I was saying earlier, I think that this is just such a fun video game, and I think a lot of that gets lost, in so many different ways, where you're looking at different games that, some lean too heavily on being a narrative, some try to have too much of a focus on innovation of gameplay, and not all of it pans out. But I think in terms of like, Doom is like the original first person shooter. Like, it's the one that really did break it open, popularize the genre and everything. And I think, yeah, after all these years, still looking at Doom: The Dark Ages, this is, to me, like a very holistic, pure version of what a first
Oh no,
person shooter should be.
it's therapy in a game.
True. Yeah. Yeah.
Like if you're having a bad day and you feel like you don't want to talk to anybody, play Doom.
Just rip and tear into some
Yeah,
demons. Yeah.
yeah. So I feel like we've said a lot of good things about this game, but one thing I know that I've seen online is, in regards to, I guess, the composer and how, what happened with Mick
Oh,
Fraser.
yep.
Um, Doom is like, very synonymous with its music, and like the score is very like integrated with the gameplay.
Yep.
What did you think of the score? Because
Again,
like
I mean,
top level thoughts, I feel like the new composer, which I'm actually trying to pull up, it's the finishing move.
yep.
They did a pretty good job.
I agree.
It feels very Mick Fraser coded, and like I'm not trying to say they're ripping off his style and all that, but like it does enough to basically make it feel like a true Doom game. It's not just some guy trying to pretend it's Doom.
Yep.
They picked the right person to basically, show that Mick Fraser,
So
as great as he is, like,
just a correction. It's
yeah.
Mick Gordon. Just
Sorry,
to save
Mick
you
Fraser,
some
sorry,
from
Mick
some
Gordon, my
comments.
bad.
Yeah.
Mick Fraser. Oh my God, who's Mick Fraser?
I
I
don't
think
know.
I've been watching Fraser. That's my problem, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mick Gordon. Sorry, guys. Sorry, long day. Yeah, but yeah, I love the score. Like there are moments like when you're in the thick of it, and it's just like then the guitar just drops, and it's like, okay, this is adrenaline. This is adrenaline going through my body right now. I need to win. And like I just love how metal it is. It's just so refined.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think I think as a whole, they did a really great job with it. I think it does enough to differentiate itself and stand out and complement the gameplay, complement the setting that we're in. But yeah, it's when it kicks in and you're dealing with the adrenaline rush of the gameplay and the frenetic combat, the, the music just complements it to such a great degree. And yeah, I don't know if it's going to stack up to Mick Gordon's previous compositions, with especially with Doom Eternal. I think that was kind of like his magnum opus for working within Doom and everything. So I don't know. I'll have to sit on it a little longer, but yeah, I definitely wasn't disappointed. That's for sure. As soon as like the opening cinematic, which kicks so much ass, I was
so
like,
good,
okay, we're in good hands with the
yeah.
departure of Mick Gordon.
It's one of those rare games where like the music has to be on par, and like and much to the point, like I just want to say, like something like Assassin's Creed, I know they're not obviously comparable in gameplay, but like at one point for myself, like the music was as important as like what was going on in the game.
Sure.
But like once they switched to the RPG style, like I feel like a lot of the game's identity was lost. And
It was.
Like,
I agree.
I'm not saying like the soundtracks have been bad since then, but
no,
you can't be just for kids scores. Like there's just so they're synonymous with like the game and what Assassin's Creed is, and much to the point, Ezio's family is now the theme song. Like they can't really find something that elevates from like anybody else. So like they pick a classic to basically show its identity, and that's kind of where Doom is lucky. Like its music is inherently tied to identity, but with the right person in charge, you can kind of forego any issues. And like I feel like a lot of games, like I said, Assassin's Creed have not been able to meet that challenge yet. So I'm glad to see that Doom was able to find the right composers for like this game, because like I said, when the music hits, like it hits hard in this game, and like I'm really looking forward to finally having it on Spotify where I can just listen to it and just jam out, because like you, I when I'm writing, I write to really like energetic game music, and like this is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree with you. Bobby, was there anything else we didn't touch on?
I think we've pretty much covered everything. I'm pretty much happy with my experience. I feel like this is definitely the most fun I've had in 2025. So yeah, it's definitely high on my list. I'm really looking forward to seeing kind of what the general public says next week. But yeah, for what it is, like this is definitely a really cool game. Moreover, the fact it's on Game Pass, so like you don't have to worry about buying it. It's just available on your service. So you pop down that $20 a month in Canada. You're gonna eat well for 15, 20 hours, whatever you put into it. Doom, the Dark Ages is such a good game.
Yep.
And that's where I'm leaving it. You need to play it. Like don't really stress about your backlog. This game will slot in between any other game you're playing. It's like breezy 15 hours, and then you can just move on. And you won't feel bad.
Yep. No, I agree. I think this is a really, really great video game. Like I said, it's a video ass game. This is like gameplay and combat done to a T. Id Software is bar none like one of the masters in terms of games of this cadence of this genre. So they really haven't lost it. I think that there's a couple misfires in terms of the narrative and maybe some of the more experimental pieces of gameplay with the mechs or the dragons. But that being said, if you're looking for just an action-packed video game, one that just respects gameplay, one that respects combat, this is it. And yeah, I think it's expansive in the way that it needs to be expansive. It's evolutionary in the way that it needs to be evolutionary. But at the end of the day, the Doom DNA is still there. It's fun, it's frenetic, and yeah, if you're so many games try to be so innovative and new and refreshed. This feels so familiar and so much like I'm just like coming home after a long day. And like you were saying before, it's very therapeutic to just go in and just wreck shop as this like monstrous beefcake of a man with his shield and then his combat shotgun and just lay waste to hordes of zombies, no, demons.
Close
But,
enough. They're all the same.
yeah,
They basically act the same. But yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. It's a therapeutic game.
It is the
Honestly,
ultimate hero fantasy.
Honestly,
Bar
yeah.
none.
It's woke. It's very woke too. So if you're
so woke, yeah,
that's not woke. This isn't it. So move on. You know. Yeah. Sorry guys. It's super woke.
Yep. Yeah. I know. Doom guy loves DEI.
Yeah, but DEI also means God in Latin. So therefore, you know, take with that what you will.
Yeah. Bobby, so you'll have the written review over on Console Creatures. If people wanted to connect with you, find the written review and all of that work, they do so.
You can find it on cultofcreatures.com. We have obviously you're listening to it, our audio review online now, and on YouTube we have our video review. So, you know, pick your poison and check it out. And then you can find us, you know, Bluesky, Instagram, TikTok, wherever your heart desires.
That's right. And yeah, you can find me across the internet at svigvari. Be sure to share this episode with all your friends who might be interested in Doom: The Dark Ages. We appreciate you for tuning in for this one. We're going to have a lot of great conversations in the pipeline coming up. So we hope that, you subscribe to the feeds, keep up with us, because there's a lot of exciting stuff. But until next time, we'll see you. Bye.